You read the title, you know what this video is gonna be. Original KH characters only. Sorry, Oogie Boogie stands. Kingdom Hearts 1, let's start with our boy Sora. He's got the iconic Mickey Mouse inspired yellow shoes. Honestly, very solid. I'll give him an 8.5 out of 10. We also see him in alternate costumes, so let's go through them real quick. Halloween Town, the pointy shoes are kind of fun. I respect that. Not as iconic as his original design though, so I'll give it a 7. Actually a 7.5 out of 10. Atlantica Sora, 0 out of 10. He doesn't even have any fucking feet. We see him as a kid in a flashback scene where he's got these snazzy sandals. I think I'll give him like a 4 out of 10, mostly because I feel a little uncomfortable having to adjust the feet of a small child. But I do like the sandals. The 4 points are for them and them alone. Next up we got Riku, and honestly the shape of his feet just look a little weird to me. Like they're so long and unproportional to his body. It's just kind of weird, but I also kind of respect it. That's the kind of ridiculous shit I want to see in Kingdom Hearts. The shoes' design is so dumb though, that drags his score down significantly. I'll give him like a 6 out of 10. Riku also shows up as a child where he wears probably the ugliest shoes in the franchise. Good to see his taste in shoes is at the very least consistent. This is a 1 out of 10. Then we got Riku possessed by Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, and honestly the blue muscle shoes are kind of iconic. I'd wear those. I'll give him a 9.5 out of 10. Rounding up our Destiny trio, we've got Kairi with a pretty underwhelming showing. I do like the overall color palette. The purple looks nice, but other than that, her feet are just kind of boring. I'll give her a 4.5 out of 10. Kairi is also a child in a flashback where she is once again wearing some underwhelming kicks. It's a 2 out of 10. Next up, we've got our main antagonist, Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, who's got 3 pairs of feet for us to judge. First up is his normal outfit, and if I'm gonna be honest, a little disappointed by the size here. They're just so proportional to his body. Not really what I'm looking for from a Kingdom Hearts character. And the boots, basic, boring, unremarkable. It's a 1 out of 10 for me. Next is his robed form, and that's an automatic 0 out of 10 as we have absolutely no feet to judge here. Then we've got his final boss face feet, and not gonna lie, this is a big step up for our boy Ansem here. I dig the Tron Legacy vibe of the design, and while his feet are proportionally the same as his normal form, he is overall significantly bigger in this appearance, so the size is pretty solid. I think I'm gonna go with an 8.5 out of 10. Way to go out with a bang, Ansem. Let's end this KH1 run through with Kingdom Hearts' best character. I am of course talking about Kairi's grandma. Her dress covers her feet, so 0 out of 10. Next game we've got Chain of Memories. I'll start with the organization members. First up, we got Axel, and his feet are slightly bigger than basic Ansem, but still just as boring. I'll give him a 1.5 out of 10. Lexaeus, same thing, boring, but his feet are significantly bigger than Axel, so I'll boost him up to a 2 out of 10. Sexion, once again, the same. I guess there's not much to comment on when it comes to the organization members, as they all wear the same type of shoe. He also gets a 1.5 out of 10. Vexen, who cares? 0 out of 10. Now Larxene, I think she gets a slight boost over the other members as she's sporting a pointed toe boot, which gives her some extra flair. I love me a pointed toe, so I'll give her like a solid 4 out of 10. Finally, we've got our main antagonist, Marluxia, and whatever, it's still all the same, 1.5 out of 10 for all 3 of his forms. Next up is Naminé's infamous massive exposed feet, and honestly, kind of iconic. These are some real big ass Kingdom Hearts feet right there, and the sandals are pretty cute too. I'll give it like a 6.5 out of 10, because even though they are very Kingdom Hearts, her toes make me feel extremely uncomfortable. Riku has one new look from his appearance in KH1, and that is his organization garb. It's still just the basic black organization shoes, but his seem to be bigger than the organization members, so I'll match him with Lexaeus' score, 2 out of 10. Finally, there's a Riku replica who is literally the same as Ansem possessed Riku, so I'll give him the same score, 9.5 out of 10. Next game, KH2. Roxas is honestly kind of serving here. We're back to the good old abnormally large feet, but unlike Sora, Roxas' feet are a lot more flat, almost like he dropped a really heavy box on his feet, and that's kind of iconic to be honest. Shoe design, also pretty solid. I think I'll give him like an 8.7 out of 10. Then we get to his pajama outfit, and we see that the shoes are doing a lot of the work for him. Roxas, my guy, these somewhat proportionally accurate feet just won't do. Minus 2 points out of 10 because toes. Then we've got his organization outfit, and Roxas, what happened to your massive shoes from earlier? Honestly, disappointing. 1 out of 10. Moving on to the Twilight Town trio, let's start with Hayner. Now we're talking, we're back to the unnaturally large feet, and the camo is kind of serving here, not gonna lie. Nice job, Hayner. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Next is Pants, who gets a 4 out of 10 because he's missing his shoelaces. Unacceptable, Pants, be more professional. You know, I never noticed how absurdly skinny Olette's legs are. What even is this? Her feet proportions are at about KH1 Kairi level, but since she's got those skinny legs, they make her feet look somewhat bigger, and you know, well played, Olette. Sometimes you just gotta work with what you got. I'll give her a 9.2 out of 10, because the yellow on the shoes and the orange socks go really nicely together. We're back to the Destiny trio in their time skip designs. First up, of course, is Sora, and I feel like his feet grew in that pod. Good job, Sora. I like that his shoes are kind of an evolution of his old design, but I do miss the iconic all yellow shoes. I'll give him like an 8.2 out of 10. It's almost the same quality as his KH1 appearance, but doesn't quite take me there. Sora also has some alternate outfits in KH2, so let's quickly go through them. I won't touch on the Halloween Town and Atlantica, as they're basically the same as their KH1 appearance. Timeless River Sora is pretty basic, but I like its simplicity. 7 out of 10. Christmas Town Sora is pretty much just Halloween Town Sora, so I'll give it the same score, 7.5 out of 10. Now, Space Paranoid Sora is really fun. The neon blue really pops. I really dig this look on him. 9 out of 10. Prideland Sora... yeah, I'll give it a furry out of 10. The limit forms I actually prefer over his base design feed. I'll give them a collective 8.5 out of 10. Except anti-form, that's just cool as shit. 9.5 out of 10. Finally for Sora, we've got his card and die forms from the Luxord battle. Card form is just his base design, so again, that's an 8.2 out of 10. Die form though, no feet, 0 out of 10. Moving on to Riku, we first see him in the organization garb, possessed by Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, and it's still just the boring old organization shoes. 1.5 out of 10. Same thing for when he turns back to his normal self, 1.5 out of 10. Then he has the outfit change, and that's far better. A little disappointed with the proportions here, not nearly massive enough for my tastes, but the shoe design has massively improved since his KH1 appearance. I think I'll give him a solid 7 out of 10. Next is Kairi, and she gets 2 whole outfits in this game. Good for her. First is her school uniform, and this is kind of a boring showing from my gal. These socks are alright though. I'll give her a 3 out of 10 for having socks on. Then we've got her regular outfit, and not gonna lie, the lilac sneakers are kinda iconic, though just like Pan, she's missing the sufficient laces to appropriately wear these, though at least she has some laces. Honestly, I'm a little biased here. I wanted these shoes as a kid so badly, and I'd also wear them today, so it's a 9.5 out of 10, though not quite a 10 due to the lack of laces. Next up is the organization members, and do I really have to talk about them? It's the same boring black boot. You know what? Fuck it, they all get a 1.5 out of 10. I like the rest of them. Let's just move on. I will, however, talk about the armored Semnas feet, because these boots kind of fierce. 8.5 out of 10. Last for KH2, we've got a Lingering Will, aka Terra's Keyblade armor outfit. And these boots are also pretty fierce. I think I just really like the Keyblade armor designs, to be frank. He's my least favorite armor design of the Wayfinder trio though, but we'll get to that in a sec. I'll give him an 8 out of 10. 358 over 2 days. The only new character with outfits we haven't seen before is Xion, so let's start with her base design. Like Larxene, she's also rocking the pointed toe look, and I feel it suits her a little bit better, to be honest. I'll give her a 4.5 out of 10. It's still just the boring organization boot, but Xion's is my fave of the bunch. Then we have her boss fight feet, and these are so unnecessarily extra, I kind of have to give them a 10 out of 10, right? Like, look at this shit, these feet are fucking fucking massive. Absolutely insane. Look at that fucking toe guard. Just, Xion, you're killing it. Okay, Birth by Sleep. Let's start with Terra. His feet are basically the same as Lingering Wells, but I'll dock some points as they're mostly hidden under his pants. 7.5 out of 10. He gets possessed in this game and becomes Terranord. Same feat though, so same score, 7.5 out of 10. Terranord does however appear here in his apprentice design. Wait, he first appears in Cage 2. Whoops. Anyway, since he's basically Ansem Seeker of Darkness, he's also got boring feet, 1 out of 10. Onto Aventus. His feet are fine. They're fine. The size leaves a lot to be desired here compared to his counterparts in Sora and Roxas. He's just very middle of the road. 5 out of 10. And then we're on to Aqua, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. Aqua has the coolest looking feet out of everyone in the franchise, and also just the coolest character design in general. Her shoes are just so cool looking. We've got the pointed toe, we've got the metal plating, we've got this really impractical scythe looking thing on the top of her boot that has no practical function, but it sure does look cool. Aqua is the best, 11 out of 10.
That's the way.
Let's move on to Xehanort. He just has Ansem Seeker of Darkness's boring old boots, 1 out of 10. He also has an organization code, and you know what? I'm so bored of these, 0 out of 10. Then we've got his sexy young model, and he's still just wearing boring black boots, but I'll give him an extra point due to the feet being larger. 1.5 out of 10. And then finally his Keyblade armor, and these are pretty much just the same as Xemnas' armor form, so I'll give them the same score. 8.5 out of 10. Vanitas is next, and he's got Riku's Possessed by Ansem muscle boots in the red variant, and I don't know why, but these aren't nearly as appealing to me. They just look kind of boring in comparison, so I'll give Vanitas a 6 out of 10. Mainly because I'd probably still wear these. Next is Ericus, who, much like his apprentices, has both a normal design and a Keyblade armor design, but also much like his apprentices, these are basically the same. I quite like them though. His feet look a lot like Aqua's feet, but a little less interesting, so I'll give Ericus a 9.2 out of 10. Next for BBS, we've got the organization members before they became nobodies. First up is Break, who's got boring black boots on, and they're not even disproportionately big. Boring, 1 out of 10. I'm gonna lump together Dylan and Alias because they wear the same uniform. Both also have just basic boring black boots, but both their feet are bigger than Break's, so I'll give them a 1.5 out of 10. Next is Evan, who cares, 0 out of 10. Ianzo finally shakes things up a bit for the Radiant Garden squad, which I respect, but he is also a child, so I think I'll just settle on a 2.5 out of 10. Next is Lee, and to be honest, his feet are pretty refreshing among all these boring black boots. Still kinda basic, but they're passable. And hey, at least he has laces. 6.5 out of 10. Last for BBS is Isa, and we're back to boring well, 1 out of 10. Next game, Coded. We've got Data Sora and Data Riku, who are the same models as KH1 Sora and the Chain of Memories organization code Riku respectively, so they'll share their scores. 8 out of 10 for Data Sora and 2 out of 10 for Data Riku. Next is my favorite game in this series, just kidding, it's my least favorite, it's Dream Drop Distance. Sora is up first and it's just his KH1 shoes again, 8 out of 10, docking some points for lack of originality. Then we have his grid outfit and the neon stripe strike again. Though I feel like these aren't as cool as his KH2 Space Paranoids outfit, I'll also give them an 8 out of 10. Then we've got Riku, and not gonna lie, these are everything his KH1 feet wanted to be. Massive improvement in my opinion. I'll give him like an 8.5 out of 10. Riku's grid outfit, once again, the neon doesn't fail. It's a solid 8 out of 10. Our main antagonist this time around is young Xehanort, and he's just in the organization garb again. 1.5 out of 10. Next. A surprise appearance in this game is by the Nightmare Ventus armor, which is one of the coolest part about the game. His feet though, it's kind of hard to see the actual design of the shoe, so I'll give it like a 6 out of 10 I guess. Next is the critically acclaimed gacha mobile game Kingdom Hearts Key or Unchained Key or Union Cross or whatever. Here we've got quite a few feet to examine. I'm also lumping the back cover designs here since they're the same ones, just better. First up, we've got the foretellers, and I don't know about you, but I'm noticing a severe lack of feet. I'll give all of them a 0.1 out of 10, since you can sometimes see them peek out a little bit. Master of Masters and Luciu, however, they just wear the organization robe for some reason. You know the drill, 1.5 out of 10. Next is our pal Ephemer, and we're back to boring black boots territory. I'll give him a fuck you out of 10, cause I'm bored. Skuld is next, also wearing boring black boots, but hers have a different silhouette and a little strap in a different color. 1 out of 10, since I'm still bored, but at least it's something. Strelitzia shakes things up by wearing white boots instead of black boots. Absolutely insane. Okay, I actually kind of like these. I'll give her a 6.5 out of 10. Next is her brother Loriam, who you may also know as Marluxia before he became a nobody. And he's got some black boots on, but with a little bit of pizzazz. I'll give him a 2 out of 10. Next is Elrena. Lark seen somebody, and I knew my gal wouldn't let me down. She's got blue boots on. Okay, but for real, I would probably wear these. I'll give her an 8 out of 10. Next is Brain, and we're back to black boots with pizzazz. But Brain wears cowboy boots, and honestly, I would wear these, so I'll give him a 6 out of 10. Finally, we have Ventus, who is here for some reason, and he has a sneaker version of his regular shoe design. 5 out of 10, I guess. They're fine. Next up, we've got the ever-delayed Dark Road, which is a game I'll probably never play, but sure has a lot of references to Norse mythology for some reason. Young Xehanort I've already touched on, but we've now also got young Ericus, whose feet have taken a drastic downturn from their BBS iteration. 1 out of 10. Next is Odin, who barely has visible feet. 0.5 out of 10. Hadima has boring black boots on. I'll give them a 1.5 out of 10. Raya is just wearing boring black sneakers. 0.5 out of 10. Earth has a black boots on. Fuck my life out of 10. War has actually pretty cool looking shoes on. I'll give her a solid 7.5 out of 10. I'd wear those. Finally, we have Baldur, whatever, 1 out of 10. And now, finally, the last game in the series, Kingdom Hearts 3. Okay, technically, the last game in the series is Melody of Memories, but there are no new designs in that game, so we're ending with Kingdom Hearts 3. Once again, we start with Sora, and to be honest, these feet kind of disappoint me. It feels like the size has significantly decreased, as we can see once we compare them to the KH3 render of his KH2 model. They're also just a little more boring than his KH1 and KH2 shoes. I guess they're fine though. I'll give them a 7 out of 10. His different forms, who cares? They're just palette swaps. Also a 7 out of 10. Except the Blitz form, those are cool as hell. 9 out of 10. The toy box feet, I actually quite like. The boxy look of them is kind of funny to me. I don't know. It's a 8.5 out of 10. Sora's Monstropolis look, I'll give them an under-the-counter furry porn at a My Little Pony convention out of 10. His Caribbean look, it's boring black boots, who cares, 2 out of 10 I guess. Next up is Riku, and we once again have boring old black boots. These do have some detail work in them though, so I'll give them like a 3 out of 10. Then there's Kairi, and it's black boots again. Also 3 out of 10, they're fine I guess. Actually 4 out of 10, I think I'd wear those. Then we have some new organization members that we haven't seen before in the organization outfit. You know the drill, 1.5 out of 10. Then we've got the Twilight Town crew in their new snazzy outfits. Hater I'm a bit let down by. The red plate just doesn't suit him as well as the camo. But they're okay I guess. 7 out of 10. Olette still has cool socks on, but I far prefer her KH2 color palette. I'll also give her a 7 out of 10. Pan still doesn't have any shoelaces, 0 out of 10. Next up we've got Axel or Lee or whatever. It's black boots, who cares, not even gonna give it a rating. They sure fully rendered new outfits for Shion and Aiza, but didn't really let us see their feet. I'll give them an undetermined out of 10. Anti-Aqua has just the same shoes as base design Aqua, but I like the OG color scheme more to be honest. I'll give it like a 9.8 out of 10. And finally, last but not least, we've got the Verum Rex crew. Yusora, we've got a rendered model for. It's Black Boots. Surprise, surprise, 0 out of 10. Then we've got Red-Haired Boy, Ignis Ripoff, and a Love Interest Girl. All I could get of them is really crappy screenshots, so I'll chuck them down to a not applicable out of 10. Okay, so this is day 2 of recording because I realized I forgot a few feet to judge. So if the audio sounds different, that's why. So I forgot Ansem the Wise. He's wearing black boots, 1 out of 10. He also has an organization code, just like every single character in this damn game. Also 1 out of 10. And as this, he gets 0 out of 10, as he has no feet. I also forgot Xehanort's goat look in KH3, and honestly, these feet are pretty cool. I'll give him a solid 9.8 out of 10. His replicas are also sporting pretty cool shoes. They get a solid 9 out of 10. So, according to me, the top 5 feet in Kingdom Hearts are: in 5th place, KH2 Olette and Armored Ericus. In 4th place, we've got Anti-Form Sora and KH2 Kairi. In 3rd place, we have Anti-Aqua and Gold Xehanort. In 2nd place, we have 358 over 2 days boss fight Xion. And in 1st place, we have our fashion icon Aqua. I mean, who else? Give a round of applause to our victors. Congratulations!